It looks like we are on air. You never know for sure, so it's always
Says
interesting.
here.
But
7 seconds.
possibly yes. Once again, this is Be Smart on air. BSOA. Is that a smart thing or not? We discussed this very thing last time, the other day, with our friends from across the pond, and I kind of agreed that I perhaps I should have thought a little bit more about the name of the show way back in time. But hey, it is what it is. So no BS, of course.
Yeah, well,
um,
BS is also Baltic Sea, and I've
right.
been doing a lot of things
Yeah. I,
around
I never
Baltic Sea.
I never thought of that one. Actually, it fits pretty
Mm,
well since you were in Finland, and that's just like across the ditch from where
yeah.
I am in
Mm.
my very Nordic location here.
We're in the
Um,
catchment area of Baltic
yeah,
Sea.
yeah, yeah. Calling Finland. This is it. It's been quite a while, Tiina, since we talked last time. Could it be
Mm.
like how long? Is it half a year almost or something?
I can't
Mi-
remember, but I'm
might be.
thinking of when did we meet? Actually meet?
Well, you
That's
mean
several
like
years
in
ago.
the you mean in the physical world?
Yes,
Heavens,
in the
I don't
real.
know. Is there such a thing?
Yeah, yeah,
Honestly, I
yeah.
don't know. That must
You
be
know, there
like
is next week on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday we have the big eTwinning conference, the annual
ah
eTwinning conference on
okay.
air on as a
Oh
webinar. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. All right. Say hi to all my friends
yeah,
and
yeah.
enemies.
It's easy to meet 600 people
Yeah,
in a
piece of
webinar.
piece of cake, huh? Right.
Yeah.
Uh, Hey Tina, why don't you say a couple of words about what you're doing, what you have been doing earlier as well, so we get kind of a good start that way.
Okay. So I'm an English teacher and a textbook writer. And for the last 10 years, I've been working for the Finnish Agency of Education, which is a ministry part of the ministry,
Yeah.
sort of doing things in the education field. And uh, mostly I've been working on global education and global citizenship education and things like that. Internationalization of education, so international contacts are very important, but also internationalization at home, meaning that you don't necessarily always have to travel
Right.
to meet people. So this COVID and everything
Mm.
going into in the air and everything going uh, in virtual world is not really, for me. It's partly quite exciting because this is something we've aspired, so that teachers uh, would more willingly meet each other and let their students meet each other on the air. You don't always have to meet in the real world,
Yeah.
and this is now something I'm working on at the moment very much. I also work as I'm an English teacher. I've been doing a lot of teacher training in language education and also curriculum development work in English education.
Right.
So that's ICT, languages, foreign languages, international cooperation. Those are my issues. My
Are you still doing work with like writing textbooks and all that?
um, not for the publisher, not um, but I'm writing a lot of teaching materials and support materials for teachers, for implementing the curriculum, but I do that for the ministry, for the agency of education. But I used to work for a big publisher called Ottawa.
Yeah, right.
It's,
They are huge, at least in Finland.
yeah. Well, they Sanoma Oy is
Yeah.
one, Ottawa is the second.
Right.
So there
Right.
are the two big ones
Hmm.
in the textbook market.
Yeah.
There. So, but I like doing materials for teachers and thinking of how to activate students and use different kinds of technologies and use different kinds of approaches so that I could activate students and engage students in learning, because I think one of the problems in learning is that the students are so distanced from what they are actually, what they have to learn. So it's
Yeah.
like some foreign object somewhere there, and they just learn it by heart, but they are not engaged. And for me, that would be very important to find out ways to engage students, and that kind of teaching and learning materials I'm producing. So I'm producing
Yeah.
it all the time.
It's definitely a good thing, like being prepared in a way for this strange world that we're living in today, and it looks like you guys on your side of the Gulf have been pretty well prepared. Uh, I think. What do you think?
Well, I think we sort of, there is this tendency of saying that we've managed pretty well and we did okay and good we. But of course there have been a lot of problems. It hasn't been very equal. So there are of course teachers who are very apt in adopting new ways of teaching and
Yeah.
and so on, and doing it through Teams or Zoom or Meets, Google Meets or things like that. But then there are unfortunately quite a lot of teachers who don't have this kind of initiative. They just crouch and think that maybe this goes away soon.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they send the students the week's work in
Hmm.
and do nothing to meet them or so on. So it's there have been some problems. There have been some students that have not really done anything
Sure.
since last March, and
Yeah.
and it's hard to get contact in them anymore because they're so depressed and so.
Yeah. For heaven's sake,
So
I guess that must be one of the really major drawbacks in this situation, that people kind of perhaps give up a little bit, both students and even teachers in a way.
yeah.
Have there
And then,
been
of
like,
course, this suits well some students. Some students are
yeah,
happy to work at home
absolutely, and do
work on
work.
computers. Yeah, and
Mm.
they do work and they
Of
do
course, they
learn.
can't work on their own. They got
Yeah,
to have
yeah,
guidelines and the connection
yeah.
there. What about talking about guidelines? Have What kind of guidelines have there been from the ministry perhaps to teachers in Finland? What's the message there, do you think?
Well, now that we're more prepared. So when it started last March, it was like 2 days, and the schools were closed, and you had to start distance learning and distance teaching, and of course the schools weren't prepared for that at all.
No.
But now of course, the situation is much different. We are much more better prepared for possible shutdowns of the schools. I don't think the schools will be shut down in the whole country anymore, like all
So
schools.
all the Finnish students are like physically in the physical world back to school.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are back to school, but
Yeah.
but if there are a lot of this infections and so on in the area, they may shut down the school for 2 weeks to check the situation. But we are better prepared, of course. And I think there's some sort of some sort of instructions and from the ministry, and one of them is that sort of we would like to go towards the thing that even if it's on the air, it's the timetable, it's the schedule, the working schedule you have to follow. So every
you
lesson
to,
is started
okay.
in a Teams or Meets classroom, and everybody says hello, and
you try to keep the same schedule they used to have before the pandemic.
The timetable, exactly, when you have maths on Mondays from 8 to 9 and English from 9 to 10 and so on. So you should follow that schedule also when it's distance learning, and you meet the students, so you don't have to keep the whole lesson 45 minutes in Teams or in Meets, but you have to start the class.
Get the things rolling and give them a chance to move on.
See who is there and who is not, and give the instructions and warm up them a little for
when I was talking with Zach and Bjorn from the US the other day. So they mentioned this very thing that is also so important, considering the social context, that there is a connection. So folks don't feel like alone, and I guess that must be almost, or perhaps even more important than the former curriculum sometimes. I'd guess.
Absolutely. I think that I think when the children went back to school last May, after 2 months at home, they were so excited. They have so much missed their friends, and you could see that this is not good. This is not good for anyone. That they, even if they can, but it's not still good for them. So it is. It's absolutely. It's their social sort of environment where they meet their friends and meet their enemies and fall in love and fall out of love. And
I mean absolutely
like that. So
that's the way it works.
It's horrible if you're stripped out of that for
and I guess
several months.
And I guess the worst possible situation is for those students who perhaps have a hard time from the very beginning due to whatever reasons. It might be social stuff at home or whatnot. And of course, if the if going to school is the lifeline and that is cut off, then whoa, I mean, serious stuff for sure. And even more important, I guess, for those that they really can connect and keep somehow the social connection, even if it's through the virtual means.
And then, of course, it was very interesting that many students, even those who are high flyers who seem to manage school very well. They said that also for learning they needed their comrades, not only
Well,
the
you bet.
teacher but also
Mm.
the it's they said that it's so much sort of more interesting and easier, and when you have this classroom around you and you can discuss the
Sure.
things and together come to an understanding of things. So learning is a collective thing, I
Yeah,
think.
I think
So
so
it,
too. It doesn't matter
yeah,
if you are kind of a bit older or not. I
or
mean, it's
younger.
pretty
Yeah,
much the same thing.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, absolutely.
if I'm just in my room trying to get through a whole thick book or whatever, I mean, oh man, I really need to force myself into doing that.
Yeah,
If I'm doing that day after day, I guess more or less give up if there's no one to talk
reflect.
about this
Yeah,
and yeah, reflect.
yeah, yeah,
Extremely
absolutely.
important.
Yeah.
I was thinking
But
about another. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was
Go ahead.
just saying that I think even in universities, if you look back for 20 or 30 years, it was like a scholar in his room studying things and writing things. And these days, there are always groups, there are
Yeah,
always teams. So
sure.
if your study subject is something, you have a team, and they are studying not the exactly same thing, but something very much similar or somehow connected to what you're doing, so that there is always this team with whom you can reflect
Right.
about your thoughts and your
Yeah.
ideas, your findings, and
And
so on.
distance learning, thinking about well, like grown-ups as well. It's darn hard. You got to have so tough discipline and what I've kind of found out for myself at least that when you get started with something, whatever the subject matter, if it's about distance learning in a virtual environment, it's so much easier if you've met these guys who work with you, if you met them in the physical world at least, once or whatnot, then it's so much easier to keep the contact somehow
Mm, mm,
in
that's right.
virtual fashion.
That's right.
I was thinking about another thing uh, about this shift that we've been forced into, um, like from the physical connection to virtual, uh, like the computers or whatever devices you're using. I think there's still quite a big difference, for example, between Sweden and Finland in a way that in Sweden it's been more or less like a standard thing that every student has a device, most probably some kind of a laptop thingy
Mm,
from the school. But that's pretty much different in Finland, I believe. I guess
mm.
that's still the case, and does that create problems for you guys?
I don't think that was the biggest problem, because these days actually everything is going on mobile. So the
Uh-huh.
students are doing a lot on their mobile phones.
Okay.
So
Like the
even if they,
connections, like the
yeah,
classroom connections and
yeah, they can. So they can take part in
mm,
Teams meetings and their classrooms through their mobile phones. Everything is
mhm,
on the phone,
mm.
and I think the world is going towards that
Yeah.
in many ways. So even the first graders these days have their mobile phones with the
Mm.
internet connections and pretty good memory space and things like that. So I think this is something something that perhaps we didn't even understand, that it's they are very happy to use their phones, and they're very clever with that. They
Sure.
can do it, write long essays, which
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me is unbearable. If I have to write more than 4 sentences, I
Hmm.
want my computer here.
Yeah, I
So
can't do that. I can't do that either. Any serious writing on
yeah.
a very small device. I mean, of course, like my eyesight, it's what it is.
Yeah.
But well,
Don't
using
blame
the
your
specs, it
eyes.
works. But just having the tiny screen, I don't know. And I
Yeah.
still feel yeah, that's the way things work here at school as well. That when the laptops for whatever reason refuse to cooperate, then well, every now and then I'd say, okay, pick up your cell phone. Otherwise, the cell phones are, like
The bag.
preferably in the bag or in the pocket or
Ah,
whatever.
yeah,
Uh, if they are not needed, that's the way I play it at
yeah,
least. And
yeah.
many other teachers, they just, tell the students right from the beginning that no cell phones in their classroom, pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel that there are this whole social media stuff. It's all the time, somehow needing their attention or whatnot, and it's
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so hard for those guys
yeah.
to leave them, even for a small
Well,
amount of times.
yeah,
If it's not switched off, it's a kind of a mess.
yeah.
So I tell them, switch it off when you get in. If there's a good reason, then all right. And of course, if the laptop doesn't work, then the cell phone is a possibility for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it works. The whole thing works better or worse depending on the student and perhaps a
Yeah, yeah,
teacher.
yeah, yeah. I think in Finland, most of the students are allowed to keep their mobile phones, especially the older ones, the
Hmm.
ones who are sort of from 12 onwards,
From 12 onwards.
who
Uh-huh. Yeah.
have their lives in
Uh-huh. Mm.
and who use it for learning.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and that uh, every student and their parents have signed this paper, or it is on web, but
Uh-huh.
it's a sort of a
Sure.
sign that I'm aware, and I let my children use their mobile phones
Mm-hmm.
at school for
Mm-hmm.
learning
Mm-hmm.
purposes.
Like a contract.
Yeah, it is sort of just to so that the school is not responsible for the, even if they use the
Oh,
mobile phones
yeah,
for
yeah.
learning, that
Mm-hmm.
if something happens to the
Yeah.
phone, the school is not responsible. So
Of course, it's the same thing here.
yeah,
Absolutely the same thing here. But it's actually it's a huge thing in Sweden, definitely. There's so many discussions all the time, like raging about uh, how to cope with cell phones at school. I mean, the private cell,
yeah,
obviously there are private
hmm,
cell phones, since no schools provide the students with cell phones
yeah, yeah,
uh, for whatever reason. It's the laptops or some kind of tablets,
yeah,
whatever. But everyone's got, pretty much all the students from very early age these days in Sweden have a personal device of some kind, a
yeah,
connected device.
yeah,
And I don't know, the cell phone thing. So I'm so tired of the whole discussion, really, and this war on phones that's
yeah,
raging on. I just,
yeah, me too.
I don't
Like,
think it needs to be a
uh,
huge problem. I tell my
yeah,
students, if you're fooling around with that, I'll take it from you. That's it.
yeah, yeah,
Period.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And for the most
And
part, it
especially
works
if you're
okay.
disturbing someone else.
Yeah.
So you can't disturb anyone else in the
No,
classroom
not me
in
either.
any way. Not screaming or shouting or throwing
Yeah.
things around,
Yeah.
and not by ringing them and making
Yeah.
strange noises. So
Sure.
if you can't behave yourself, then
Yeah.
You can get
Yeah.
it when you go back to school,
Yeah.
back home after school.
That's right.
Yeah, I
But I
think
mean, yeah,
not to make so much fuss about it.
yeah, yeah. I like that approach, really, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
But the thing with the devices provided by the school is that, of course, many students really can't cope with them, and they can't cope with the internet on their fingertips, really.
Mm,
And those who, again, those who have the most difficult situation from the very beginning end up in the most difficult situation in the end.
mhm,
And man, I get so frustrated the way things work. I mean, of course, it's at least for me, it's never. And I bet for my colleagues, same thing. It never works the way that, when the students walk in, they just open up their computers like that. Uh, they the computers are used when there's a good reason to use them, and
mm.
that's not like all the time, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, like
Do they bring them back to school and home every day?
the
So it's
deal
always
the
in their backpacks.
the deal with the with the like the age group of my students, that's 13 to 15. The deal is that they take care of their device. This in our case, in my area, my school district, that's Windows laptops.
Hmm.
They take care of it like on their own completely, and they should take it home every day and charge it during the night. And when they go to school, they got the computer with them, charged and ready to go. That's the way it should work. Um, some students do leave the computer at school in the locker, and that's not the way it should work,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
most pretty often they do need the computer at home.
To do their
So
homework. You
that's
have
that's
are
that's one
your
thing.
textbooks these days real textbooks, or are they online as well?
That yeah, they have real textbooks for sure, but
Besides the
as you
digital.
know, pretty much all textbooks are somehow not based on the whatever web version, but there is one, at least there is web support. And pretty
Mm,
often, like, at least if I'm thinking of the way it works in say the Swedish or English material we've got. So the whole the whole content of the textbook, say the English textbook, is available online. Everything, all the texts, they can listen to them if they want to, read them. Um, Lots of exercises are
mm,
perhaps only available on the web, and of course they do have like exercise books as well. I
mm,
mean, physical books,
mhm,
but they have lots of stuff available through the web as well. So that's the way it is. So in the best case scenario, they don't need to carry tons of books in their backpack all the time, back
mhm,
and forth. They
mhm.
carry the computer and a
Yeah.
couple of books, hopefully.
Yeah, the older students in in um, in the upper secondary school, the ones who are from 16 to 19 or 15 to 19, they must have, they all must have laptops, and they have to buy themselves.
They buy
It's
them. Aha, they buy them.
they buy them, and they
Okay.
have to, because we have
Okay.
the matricular examination
Yeah. You got to
is
have.
is online. Yes, it's
Uh-huh.
all online, and everybody has to
Right.
have their own computers.
Right.
So
The way it
and
works
then
here. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead.
and then you can choose if you to buy the textbooks. I think
Hmm.
about 90% or 100% of the books, they have both versions. They have the real book, or you can buy the version which is online.
Uh-huh.
And then of course you, if you buy the book online, you avoid the carrying carrying it
You
around.
you
And
you
uh,
do, but then
so,
you are of course tied to your device. If you're out of
yes,
luck, whatever, and your computer or
yeah,
tablet or
well, if it's
whatever,
on the
yeah,
air,
then you can't do anything.
yeah,
Then you
you can
can't do
use it
anything.
with your mobile phone, or you, so
Yeah,
it
man.
doesn't
I,
matter
I
because it's,
couldn't cope with that. I guess the young
yeah,
folks are better at that,
yeah.
but I still think that at least, I don't know if there's any difference actually if you are younger or older. I mean, having the physical thing in your hand you can use even without batteries. There are advantages to that still. I mean, combining the both somehow I still feel
There you go. If you want to
that should be
see,
ideal.
these are my books
Yeah, yeah.
that I have.
Are those written by you?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Way cool. You must send some of that stuff to me. I want to take a look.
yeah,
That would be
yeah,
fun.
yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I'm not teaching. Yeah, I am teaching a little bit of English as well. It's mostly Swedish these days, but I mean, I'd love to take a look for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Let's do that. I have them, as you can see, I have quite a lot of, because they're taking still, even if it's 10 years ago,
Yeah, yeah,
people are still using it.
sure. Yeah.
Those who it was very much sort of it works perfectly these days because it's very active. It based on the students' activity and activating um, activities. So
Mm.
it's yeah. I must
Yeah, yeah.
send
Do
you
please
and,
do.
yeah,
That'd be fun.
yeah.
That'd be fun. Might get some new ideas. You never know.
New ideas from from an old book.
Yeah. Well, heck,
Well, yeah,
that is possible for sure.
yeah, but it
So
was nice to when we realized that when we had the curriculum, um, um, new curriculum in 2016, or the basic um, foundations came out on 2014. It was like this book had been these textbooks had been written for that curriculum, so it
yeah.
fitted
Okay.
everything so
Mm.
beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah,
By the way, still getting back to the
yeah.
to this one-to-one thing. That's the rule pretty much in
Hmm.
Sweden these days. So you know, it's fine that they have their personal devices for sure, um, but I just I just feel more strongly than ever today that the teachers should be able to a little bit to lock down the computers into the subject matter
Hmm.
um, when that is needed. Like if I look back some 15, 20 years, so uh, I thought that, hey, it's great to have everything wide open. We can discuss this stuff together with the students and they learn slowly, like the tricks of the trade, and everything will be fine. But it just does not work. There are so many young folks, of course, old folks as well. But I mean, talking about the students now
Hmm.
and the age group I teach, that they have no chance to fix this. They are. It's just too hard for them to give them the connected device, and when it's time to focus on whatever the subject matter happens to be for half an hour or an hour, 1 hour or whatnot, quite a few of those guys, you know, are sidetracked quite a bit for several reasons.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
man, sometimes I just feel that it's such a waste of time. And then I just say, hey, let's shut down the computers.
Computers,
you know
right?
and
And I
I mean,
think
it's the same thing. I'm not saying that I fix this, easily or whatnot. No, I don't. I bet there are always some students, quite a few probably, in a class that do whatever they prefer doing, except the stuff that should be, focused on, and whatever web pages should be on the screen. And the situation is the same for I bet for most teachers, and it's just I think it's kind of crazy that we can't do anything about that. We don't have any tools whatsoever. The students are administrators on their own computers. They can do pretty much anything on their own computers, and of course they are encouraged to fool around with them and play with them, and that I feel that's just fine when they are at home, when they are like off duty. Yeah, do whatever you feel like doing with that thing, but heaven's sake, when it's studying time, focusing time during a class, man,
perhaps not.
it just doesn't work. Not for
Yeah,
me.
as an English teacher, I think it's. I definitely think that the time in the classroom is for discussions and getting connected and working groups and working pairs and talk a lot.
Sure.
Because
Absolutely.
that's what
Absolutely.
they should be doing,
Yep.
and not playing with a computer,
Hmm.
and playing with a computer or working in a virtual learning environment or so, that would be at home. So
Yeah.
so then when you're at home, then you can find the materials, look at the videos and read the texts, maybe
Yeah.
do the exercises,
Hmm.
maybe meet people in the virtual environment
Sure.
and discuss things there. But in the classroom, the best thing about the classroom is that you have several students there, and they can meet each other and talk to
Hmm.
each other, and work together and learn about teamwork, learn about communication, and their communication skills are, I think they're one of the most important skills these days, and in the future.
Absolutely.
From the 21st century skills,
Yeah.
communication skills will be the very, very important ones, and this is something I feel that if they learn to listen and they learn to argue and argumentation,
Hmm.
and if they learn to work together and find out things together and build construct information together or knowledge together, that's something they should be doing at school. And
Absolutely.
then but computer is of course very important when you're doing things, when you're learning at home on
Hmm.
your own.
Yeah. And
There you can,
I feel that they also need to get started at school with or preferably I'd like them to do most of their learning at school, um, like kind of learning
yeah.
where they need help from
Mm-hmm.
the teachers.
Where they
And
need company.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
when they get started, say something in writing, well, of course it's on the computer, and then I would really love them to focus a little bit more on the task, and not
Mm-hmm.
whatever is fun and
Mm-hmm.
interesting in other respects on the net. So yeah, but I agree with you fully what you say
Yeah,
about that.
I'm sure you do
Not much
more. Yeah,
computer stuff in class, and focus on the collaborative part. That's I
yeah,
think that should be the key to language learning for sure.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I remember
These
when
days you
I
have
yeah.
tools for correcting typos
Mm.
and even, even structural mistakes and so
Yeah.
on. So so I think it's going to be very, very important that people are able to express themselves and communicate and listen
Oh
to
yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
to respond
And
so.
and talking about language learning, it's so funny when I think back when I moved from Finland, and and after a while settled in Sweden. So yeah, well, sure, I had studied Swedish just like everyone else in Finland, but I had a hard time, like buying a hot dog or anything. I, I was pretty good at grammar,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
saying something in Swedish, that was very, very hard.
Yeah.
And of course, we didn't have any. It was a different world completely, completely different world way back in time. But the language learning part, the foreign language learning part that I experienced then, especially as to Swedish, well, I guess it should have been a little bit different. I think
Mm,
a little bit different, more focus on collaboration and
yeah.
oral language. Definitely, I think wouldn't hurt.
I remember when I was studying for the matriculation examination, I was learning phrases like i synnerhet or i allmänhet. All my sentences in the examination were constructed around these phrases, and I got 99 points for the
Whoa,
essay.
whoa! You learned those two phrases that
Yeah,
really they
every
were a game
sentence
they were
was
a
like
game changer, huh?
yeah,
Man, works
yeah,
like magic.
yeah,
Works
yeah.
like magic.
So no, yeah, okay.
By the way, how is your like daily? How does your daily work look like today? How is your working day? Like a standard working day, if there's anything like that.
Uh, yeah. Well, of course, this week is a bit different from normal weeks because we have autumn holiday now, and teachers are on their vacations. So
Mhm.
and I'm not. But usually my afternoons are quite full after the schools end. My afternoons are full of meetings with teachers and webinars and uh, a lot of things like that. We meet quite often, and there are in our groups there are people who are still teaching, so they mostly have to take place. The meetings take place in teams, but they take place after school, so it's in the afternoon, after 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And uh, I because I'm training still the teacher trainer, and so it's a lot of planning the webinars and the training situations in the mornings, and as I said, preparing material, learning material, and teaching material, and so on. So, and of course, many of the webinars, like we have, they are a series of webinars. So there are many of those, and coordinating that. So it's not just one thing and then it's over, but it's perhaps like we have now e-twinning webinars, 12 this this autumn, and I've been sort of coordinating that
Mm.
because we don't have the workshops now. Now
Yeah.
the real workshops
Yeah. 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 Right.
on online, and of course I give also workshops, e-twinning workshops,
Hmm.
but they are online as
Mm.
well. So everything is now online.
Yeah.
The
Sure.
teachers don't go from a school to another and pass on the
Right.
COVID virus.
Hmm.
So everything's, and so quite a lot to do. Now we
Hmm.
have a 2-day webinar for the Baltic Sea teachers. That's why BS is, for me, it's at the moment, it's Baltic Sea. We have
Yeah,
teachers teachers
that's a
coming from
lot better one,
countries.
lot better
uh,
translation. Zach asked, "Hey, how does the this BS thing translate to in your part of the world?" And I think
yeah,
Baltic Sea is
all
great, great
equal.
one.
Okay, so
Mm.
so it's in 2 weeks, 27th and 28th
Mm.
of October, and it's 2-day webinar where there are now 38 teachers from countries around the Baltic Sea coming,
Whoa. Okay.
and we're trying to get them connected. So
Mm.
there are short presentations and plenaries and so on, short lectures, only 50 minutes or something
Mm.
like that, but many of those. And then I would try to get them connected and start working together,
Yeah.
the teachers, and then bring their students to that
Yeah.
as well. But this is not e-twinning. This is different. So these are just they're UNESCO schools, the UNESCO Esplanade schools.
All right.
So they the themes themes are in sustainable development
Yeah.
and global citizenship education and
Mm.
intercultural sort of respect and so on. So
Yep.
cultural heritage and so on. But it is quite a lot of work to get people from different countries to register
Oh yeah.
in a
Oh
seminar
yeah.
like in a
Oh yeah.
webinar like that, which
For sure. Is
and
it so?
to,
It's you who puts together the agenda
I've put
for
the
that.
whole thing
Mm.
together,
Right.
and it's been quite a lot of work
Hmm.
actually.
Yep.
But and then of course when the day comes, how you organize them to work in teams
Hmm.
uh, online.
Mm.
So they make groups where
Mm.
they make their project plan or
Hmm.
plan for collaboration and how they will be working together and on what teams and what will be the activities for the students and how they connect and so on.
Right.
So this is it's quite demanding.
Hmm.
I've done in e-twinning. I've done one seminar like that, and we had it was very successful. Even though there were also teachers from Sweden there, 2 teachers from Sweden.
Very good.
Yeah, and they were really very nice and very
Mm.
active and took part in the but yeah, always ready to take a challenge
Yep.
and step a little bit outside the box
Right.
and
By
try
the
something,
way,
because
yeah.
it's like I say, anything, I can only fail. So that's the worst thing. It can
Right.
only
Right.
go, but I can learn from it.
Learning by failing. I guess there's
Yeah,
no other way
yeah,
somehow.
that's the best
What
way
are
to
the
learn.
what are then the tools of the trade for you these days mostly? We're talking a little bit about that with Zach and Bjorn last time. Um, how is it for you? Like the virtual platforms you're using, what
Mhm.
are the most common, or do you stick to one and only whatever?
Well, I think um, Teams, Microsoft Teams,
So it's like
is
Office
very
365.
yeah. So
Mm.
that is something that's very popular in Finland
Hmm.
and its schools, because most of the the municipalities have it, have Teams and
Okay.
Office 365 as
Hmm. Right.
their surroundings. So, and Teams is, it's really, you can you know, build channels there for even in the schools. You can build channels and classrooms, have your classrooms there,
Mm.
and you can discuss. You can have discussions,
Right.
and the students can uh, download their or upload their homeworks and so on.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it's used quite a lot. And
Mm.
then maybe if 2/3 are using Teams and Microsoft Teams, and then 1/3 Google Classroom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are the ones that are mostly used.
Right. Of course, you can't really compare, I think, Google Classroom to Microsoft Teams, because like there's so much more stuff in Teams. Classroom is, the way I see it, mostly like it's comparable to the part of from the Teams where the school assignments run. So Classroom is pretty much the environment, and a very good one, the way I see it,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
running running the school the whole workflow for school assignments. I think it's
hmm
great. It's so easy to manage.
hmm
In Teams, there's so much stuff, and obviously there's so much potential there. You can
yeah.
do anything
But
there,
problems,
and
of
it
course.
gets a little bit
uh,
complicated, the way I see it. Perhaps I'm just old, but
and
yeah.
then there are, of course, the problems with the Teams. So the meetings, Teams meetings, they are okay, and
Hmm.
they you can manage that or use them on your mobile. So you have a map app for the Teams, and you can use them online. But then if you want to use all the possible tools and channels and uh, so on, then you have to download uh, Teams on your computer.
Yeah.
So then you must have it and there, and that's of course in Finland most, because Microsoft Office 365 is used by the municipalities. The students have all the students have um, emails and through Office, through
Right.
Microsoft, and they can use all the apps like Word and
Yeah.
PowerPoint and so on,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then they can use the Teams, and they can download them all in their computers if
Sure. We must, by the way, say hi to Kim here, uh,
they.
popping in here
Hi.
in the end, before we
Yes.
say bye bye. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Morning.
great to see Kim here. Hi, Kim. How are you doing?
I'm fine. I've been listening in the last 15 minutes.
All right.
So
Oh,
yeah,
We
it's
were
nice
just talking
to
a
be
little bit
joined.
about the
Very good.
tools of the trade, and I
yeah,
still feel a little bit that, I mean, comparing these two, Google and Microsoft, the huge players in the, among other things, in the
Mm,
education space. So if you look back, uh, the way these two got started, um, in the education field. So somehow, where I see it, like Google was from the very beginning, starting from the web. It was web-based
yeah.
everything, and it still is. Microsoft had the software used in the computers, Windows computers, and it was very much a local thing. And then things started changing in the direction that everything was on the web. And somehow then Microsoft, they were in a hurry to get this web part into the existing environment, and they did. But I still feel it's not, somehow it feels that parts of their offerings that actually mostly, I think, from the beginning as well were targeted. Were targeting the business sector. So I still feel that parts of Office 365, the web-based parts, are like bolted on afterwards, and you can see that.
Yeah,
and then there are things that are, of course, plus and minus with
I'm
the
being
whole
nice.
thing.
I'm waiting. Yes, that's the case. But Microsoft is a behemoth. They are massive.
Yeah, they are
and
massive.
They are like an oil tanker. 10, 15 years later, they will catch up to you, and they will have all the features.
Yep.
That they do. So,
and more. They have all the features you got and more.
Yes. So the modern Teams app, the standalone Teams app, is amazing. It has so many features. It can do so many things, and they are building on it, and they're building on it, and they're building on it.
Right.
But they don't have the online features. So all the online services they have, they are not up to par with Google.
This is the problem with many sort of mobile apps. You have these apps for Teams, they have apps for this and that and e-twinning and so on. And most of the apps, they don't have all the features. They just have the basic features. So if you are used to using something on computer, and then you say, fantastic, now it's on there's an app and I can use it lying on the sofa and on my iPad, and then I notice that, oh, come on, it doesn't work at all. I can't do anything here. So it's just the basic things you can do it, and this is so the problem with Microsoft. So there are only the basic things that work online, and not even the basic ones. But we'll see. I think both Google and Microsoft understand that today's students and pupils are tomorrow's businessmen and businesswomen.
Yes.
So if they're used to using Teams at school, they will be using it in their adult life.
Right, and not just Teams. They'll be using everything, all the offerings from Microsoft, from the computer operating system into wherever. I mean, absolutely. That's the deal.
Where Apple has missed the game. So
somehow they
to offer in education, or what they had, this you thing and so on. They missed it.
They used to be pretty big, but these days not. I don't know.
But they're not. You need to have their hardware. If you don't have their hardware, you can't use your things. So that's a different thing. Google and Microsoft are software developers mainly, but also thinking about this, the future users, future business users. That's why they, way back when Windows and Office were pirated so much back in Asia, Microsoft did nothing. They did nothing because a couple of years later, they introduced a new feature that removed the possibility to use the operating system unless you licensed it. And then everybody already had it. So they had to buy a license, or the computer you were useless.
Sure.
So they just waited. We know, we're going to fix that. So. And this is great. This is StreamYard. You have a studio. I mean, Nilo has a studio. All the hardcore stuff around.
Grand piano.
Yes. But Tiina's. And Tiina sitting. I'm thinking you have a normal computer or a laptop, and I'm on my phone.
I like the sofa over there. I like that best.
iPad,
And then the grand piano is pretty neat as well. If you're just listening to this stuff, you miss quite a bit, because my digs are really neat right now.
and none of us is actually using. None of us is actually using an app. None of us is actually using an app. We're all using just a browser, because StreamYard runs in a browser.
Sure.
All of it. The entire thing is in a browser.
Yeah.
And I'm not even in the actual browser. I clicked the link inside Nilo's email, and then on an Android, when you click a link inside Gmail, it opens in a pre-browser setting. It's not the full browser; it's just like a fake Chrome.
Yeah.
And I'm still in
right.
it.
When I clicked your link for me, the very, very secret Niilo's link, it tried to open it in the Chrome. I usually use Chrome, but it said that you can only use this in Safari. So I had to copy the address and move to Safari, and then it opened. I don't know.
That's because you're using Apple hardware, Tiina.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that should be.
Don't want me to use the Google Chrome.
Yeah. I think I've learned that if you're using iOS 14, the brand newest one, you're supposed to be allowed to choose which your preferred apps are.
Yeah.
So if you click the link,
in the cell phone, yeah, right.
Yes. So when you click, it should open Chrome if that's it.
Well, I've updated
That's right.
but,
Interesting stuff. I must say, talking about my digs here in the room, the impression I give here about seeing the background, my very, very cool background is a little bit misleading. This room is very, 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 very tiny. Extremely tiny, but I'm happy with this since it's the quiet part of the school, and especially like in the afternoon, I'm pretty much on my own here, and even daytime. So there are not that many classes going on here. After this 5 or 6 years of working at a building site, this like paradise, I'm telling you. Whoa.
In Teams you can choose your background.
So I know. Yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, I can choose it here as well. So possibly I used to have another one, when I was talking with Zach and Bjorn last time. I guess it was this one, which is pretty neat as well. Like a little bit of space, outdoor space.
Yeah. Nice weather too.
It's nice weather too. Of course, this is just like fooling around. Where did Kim go? Did I kick you out or what?
I did that. As I said, I'm on the phone. I was clicking things, trying to check them out, and I clicked the back button.
It's pretty amazing that it works this well from the phone. Are you on the wireless net?
Yes, I'm on Wi-Fi at home. Yeah.
Okay.
And I could switch. I can switch.
Yeah.
I have only 13% of my battery left. So
I don't.
Old one, so it.
Yeah, I don't have much fuel left in my system, so I think it's time. There goes Kim. It's time to wrap up.
No,
this
I'm
thing.
back again. So.
Yeah, tons of fun that you popped in, Kim. Really great. And I think later on, I would really love to have something like some kind of a international educators roundtable kind of a thing. Perhaps, I don't know, whatever works, once a month or whatnot. And perhaps, Tiina, if you're a busy lady, but if we kind of try to have a little bit more advance warning, a couple of weeks, perhaps we can make this happen. And of course, if we want to have the folks from other time zones, like from very far time zones, then we need to have advance warning for those guys as well. But it should be able to work somehow, I think.
Oh.
Did you hear, Niilo? Maybe I don't know if I can do this. This will be upside down. I'm going to turn this on the back of. Look at this.
On the back of your T-shirt.
Google Educator.
Oh man, yeah. He's the Google fan, and you're taking the exam, right?
Yeah, this was the certified innovator. We graduated this weekend, so I am now officially a certified innovator.
Congrats, good work. Whoa. I mean, that's really something. Way back in time, I considered trying to do that, and then I understood that it's just too much for me. Definitely. So, guys, soon, very soon, I'll be going home
Yeah.
and hopefully get some
I've
food.
created in my email. There is a special folder for Neil.
That's
Where
very
you
good.
put your
I'm-
emails, and there were quite a few of
Excellent.
those.
I'm kind of a
have a
VIP,
special
Tiina.
folder.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm a VIP here.
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's
Brilliant.
You're the
let's
only
get
person who
together.
has their own folder.
Let's get together soon again. And
Yeah.
I try to have a little bit more of a, like I said,
Okay.
advance warning next time.
Battery going on red.
Waving goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Ending broadcast, I believe.
Yes, good.
Do you really want to end it? It says, yeah.
Yes.